Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to another Life History channel. I hope you are ready to sleep. Let your shoulders drop and relax now. Tonight, we leave behind the convenience of shopping centres and digital stores. We travel back to experience the gritty struggle of a medieval trader. Before we begin, maybe hit subscribe and tell me where you are right now and what time it is. I love reading comments. Tokyo at 3 a.m, Chicago at midnight, London during a morning journey to work. It's fascinating how we're all present at once. You open your eyes before the sun has risen. The air inside the small room feels cold and damp. Your breath makes tiny clouds in the darkness around you. The straw mattress beneath you rustles as you shift your weight. Your wool blanket smells faintly of lanolin and smoke. You can hear your brother breathing softly in the corner. Outside, a rooster crows from somewhere down the narrow street. The sound echoes off the timber walls of nearby houses. You know it is time to begin the day. You sit up slowly and reach for your tunic. The fabric feels rough against your fingertips in the dark. You pull it over your head and smooth it down. Your feet touch the cold earthen floor. The packed dirt is hard and slightly uneven beneath your soles. You stand and stretch your arms above your head carefully. A thin line of grey light shows beneath the door. You walk toward it and lift the wooden latch. The metal feels icy cold against your palm as you push. The door swings open with a low creak. Cool morning air rushes into the room behind you. You step outside into the narrow alley between the buildings. The sky above is deep blue, turning lighter at the edges. Stars still shine faintly in the western half of the sky. You can smell wood smoke from someone's morning fire already burning. You walk to the back of the house where the water barrel stands. The wooden staves are damp with dew that soaks your fingers. You dip your hands into the cold water and splash your face. The shock of cold water makes you gasp quietly. Droplets run down your neck and dampen your tunic collar. You dry your face with your sleeve and blink your eyes clear. You return inside and find the flint and steel on the shelf. Your fingers know their shapes even in the dimness. You kneel by the small hearth in the corner of the room. The tinder is dry straw and wood shavings in a clay bowl. You strike the steel against the flint once, twice, 3 times. Sparks fall like tiny stars into the waiting tinder below. A small orange glow begins to grow in the straw. You lean down and blow gently on the ember forming there. The glow brightens with each breath you give it patiently. A small flame catches and begins to spread through the shavings. You add thin twigs one at a time to feed it. The fire crackles softly and light begins to fill the room. You place 2 larger pieces of wood across the growing flames. Smoke curls upward toward the hole in the roof above. The warmth begins to reach your hands and face at last. Your brother stirs on his mattress and sits up, rubbing his eyes. He nods at you without speaking and reaches for his own tunic. You both move quietly in the early morning ritual together. You take 2 wooden bowls from the shelf near the window. They are smooth from years of use and handling every day. You fill them with barley porridge left from the night before. The porridge is thick and cold, but filling and nourishing enough. You eat slowly with a wooden spoon worn soft at the edges. Your brother eats beside you in comfortable silence as the room brightens. When the bowls are empty, you rinse them with water. You set them upside down on the shelf to dry. Your brother banks the fire with ashes to keep it smouldering. You put on your leather belt and check the small purse attached. A few coins rest inside along with a measuring cord. Everything you need for the day ahead is accounted for properly. Your brother opens a wooden chest against the wall near his bed. Inside are folded lengths of cloth in different colours and weights. He lifts them out carefully and stacks them on the table. The cloth represents weeks of work and careful saving of resources. Some pieces are wool-dyed deep blue with woad from the fields. Others are undyed linen in natural cream and brown earth tones. You run your hand over the top piece of wool fabric. The weave is tight and even beneath your palm and fingers. The dye has set well, and the colour is rich and deep. Your brother folds each piece again into a more portable bundle. He wraps them in an old linen sheet to protect them outdoors. You help him tie the bundle with hemp cord pulled tight. Together you lift the bundle and carry it toward the door. The weight is substantial but manageable between the two of you. You step outside into the alley as dawn breaks over the town. The sky is lighter now with streaks of pink and gold. Other doors along the street are opening as neighbours begin their days. You can hear footsteps and quiet voices carried on the morning air. You walk down the narrow alley toward the main street ahead. The buildings lean close together overhead, blocking some of the growing light. Your footsteps echo softly off the walls on either side of you. The alley opens onto a wider street paved with rounded stones. Gutters run along both edges, carrying rainwater and waste downhill slowly. The stones are uneven, and you step carefully with your burden. Shop fronts line both sides of the street with shutters still closed. Above them, upper stories jut out slightly over the walkway below. Wooden beams and white plaster walls create patterns of light and shadow. You turn left and walk toward the market square 3 streets away. Your brother adjusts his grip on the bundle as you walk. Neither of you speaks, but you move in practiced coordination together. A baker's apprentice passes carrying a basket of fresh bread loaves. The smell of baking bread fills the air around him sweetly. Your stomach tightens slightly, though you've already eaten your fill. You reach the corner where a stone fountain stands in a small square. Water trickles from a carved lion's mouth into a basin below it. 2 women stand filling clay jugs and speaking in low voices softly. You continue straight ahead down another narrow street heading east now. The sky grows brighter with each moment that passes overhead above. You can hear church bells ringing somewhere in the distance behind you. The street slopes gently downward toward the river and market below. Half-timbered houses line the way with small gardens squeezed between them. You smell rosemary and thyme growing in the morning dampness around you. A cart pulled by an ox moves slowly up the hill. The wheels creak and the ox's hooves clop on the stones. You and your brother step aside to let it pass by. The driver nods at you as he goes past going uphill. His face is weathered and lined from years working outdoors always. The cart is loaded with sacks of grain tied down securely. You continue downward as the street widens gradually ahead of you. More people appear now heading toward the market like you are. The day's trading is about to begin in earnest soon enough. You hear the river before you see it flowing past below. The sound of moving water is constant and soothing to your ears. It has been part of your life since you were born here. The market square opens before you as you reach the bottom. Wooden stalls stand in rows across the open space between buildings. Some merchants are already setting up their goods on wooden tables. You walk to your usual spot near the centre of the square. The space is marked only by habit and mutual understanding among sellers. You set down your bundle and begin to unwrap it carefully now. Your brother spreads a piece of canvas on the ground first. The canvas is worn but clean and keeps the cloth dry. You lay out the folded pieces in a display that shows colours. The blue wool goes on the left where morning light will hit it. The linen pieces go on the right in a neat stack. You arrange everything to catch the eye of people passing by. Other merchants around you are doing the same unpacking and arranging work. The cobbler 2 stalls over sets out leather shoes and boots lined up. The spice seller arranges small clay bowls filled with coloured powders nearby. You stand back and look at your display with a critical eye. Everything must look its best to attract buyers in the competitive market. You adjust one piece of fabric so it drapes more attractively. Your brother pulls out a small wooden stool from the bundle's wrapping. He sets it behind the display for you to sit on. You will stand most of the day, but the stool is there. The sun has cleared the rooftops now and shines into the square. Golden light falls across the cobblestones and makes them glow warmly. Shadows retreat into doorways and under the store awnings around you. More merchants arrive and set up their places around the square. A woman selling eggs arranges them carefully in straw-lined baskets on her table. A fishmonger lays out his morning catch on a bed of ice. You hear the town crier's voice echoing from the street behind you. He announces the time and the opening of the market officially. His voice fades as he moves to another part of town. The first customers begin to wander into the square looking around. Most are servants sent by wealthy households to purchase supplies for the day. They move from stall to stall, examining goods and asking prices. A woman in a plain brown dress approaches your display slowly. She touches the blue wool with tentative fingers, testing the quality. You wait patiently without speaking as she examines it closely in silence. She looks up at you and makes a small gesture of inquiry. You hold up 4 fingers to indicate the price per length. She considers this and shakes her head, then moves on to browse. This is the pattern of the morning as the market fills. People come and look and sometimes buy and sometimes walk away. You wait and watch and answer questions when they come to you. A merchant from another town stops to examine your linen pieces. His clothes are finer than most, suggesting he has wealth and means. He picks up a length and holds it to the light. The linen is good quality with an even weave throughout its length. You can see him noting this as he runs it through his hands. He nods slowly and asks your price with a direct look. You show him your fingers again with a different number this time. He counters with a lower offer using his own hand gestures. You shake your head but smile slightly to show respect and openness. He thinks for a moment, then nods agreement to your original price. You measure the length carefully with your measuring cord to ensure fairness. He counts coins into your palm and you count them again. The transaction is complete and he rolls the linen under his arm. He nods once more and walks away toward the street beyond. You place the coins carefully into your belt purse with satisfaction. Your brother has wandered off to look at other stalls nearby. You see him examining iron tools at the blacksmith's temporary display there. He returns after a few minutes with a thoughtful expression on his face. The morning passes slowly with the sun climbing higher overhead in the sky. The market grows more crowded as housewives and servants finish their other errands. Voices fill the air in a constant murmur of negotiation and greeting. A young apprentice stops at your stall sent by his master tailor. He needs wool for a wealthy client's new winter cloak, he explains. You show him the blue wool and he touches it approvingly. He asks if you have more of this colour and quality available. You tell him yes through gestures that you have another length at home. He says he will return in the afternoon to see it. You watch him hurry off through the crowd toward other errands waiting. The morning is warming now and you feel the sun on your shoulders. You adjust your position to stay in the shade of the awning. A farmer's wife buys a small piece of plain linen for a child's shirt. She counts her coins twice before handing them over carefully to you. You fold the fabric and tie it with string for her. The church bells ring again, marking the middle of the day now. Some merchants begin to pack away their goods for the midday meal. Others stay hoping for a few more sales before the afternoon lull. You decide to stay a while longer at your post here. Your brother offers to fetch bread and cheese from a nearby vendor. You nod and hand him a small coin from your purse. He disappears into the crowd and returns carrying the food wrapped in cloth. You eat standing behind your display, watching the square around you always. The bread is fresh and the cheese is sharp and satisfying. A group of monks passes through the market on their way somewhere. Their brown robes swish as they walk in a silent line together. People step aside respectfully as they pass through the crowded space between stalls. The afternoon begins to stretch long and warm across the square now. Fewer customers browse now as the day's shopping is mostly complete for most. You sit on your stool and watch the shadows lengthen slowly. A messenger boy runs past carrying a sealed letter for someone important. His bare feet slap the cobblestones as he weaves through people standing. You wonder briefly what urgent news the letter might contain inside. Your brother suggests you take the remaining cloth home before evening comes. The best-selling time has passed and there is no point staying. You agree and begin to fold the unsold pieces back up carefully. You wrap everything in the canvas again and tie it securely closed. The bundle is lighter now than it was this morning at dawn. You've made some sales, and that is good enough for today. Together you lift the bundle and begin walking back toward home again. The market will continue until sunset, but your work here is done. Tomorrow you will return and try again with the remaining stock. The walk uphill feels longer than the walk down this morning was. The sun is warm on your back and you feel tired pleasantly. Your legs are stiff from standing most of the day long. You pass the fountain again and stop to drink cool water cupped. The water tastes of stone and minerals from deep underground somewhere. It refreshes you enough to continue the walk home ahead still. The streets are quieter now in the afternoon heat of the day. Most people are indoors resting or working in shade somewhere out of sight. Your footsteps and your brother's are the main sounds you hear. You reach your narrow alley and walk down it to your door. Your brother lifts the latch and you carry the bundle inside together. You set it down with relief and stretch your back and arms. The room is warm from the banked fire still glowing in the hearth. Your brother adds wood, and the flames rise up again, casting dancing light. You pour water into a bowl and wash your dusty hands and face. The coins in your purse jingle slightly as you remove the belt. You count them out on the table to see the day's earnings total. It is not a large amount, but it is honest work fairly done. You divide the coins into 3 small piles on the wooden surface. One pile is for food and household needs this week coming soon. Another pile is for saving toward future cloth purchases you will need. The third small pile is for the tax collector who will come eventually. You place each pile into separate cloth bags and tie them closed. You hide the savings and tax bags under a loose floor stone. Your brother brings out dried fish and onions for the evening meal. You slice the onions thin with a small sharp knife on the board. The fish will simmer in a pot with water and barley grain. You hang the pot over the fire on an iron hook suspended there. The water begins to heat slowly as you add the ingredients one by one. Steam rises and the smell of cooking fills the small room around. While the meal cooks, you sit and rest your tired feet finally. Your brother mends a tear in his tunic with needle and thread. The needle catches the firelight as it moves in and out steadily. You think about the apprentice who will return tomorrow for more blue wool. You must prepare the additional length and ensure it matches the first piece. Quality and consistency matter greatly in this trade, you have learned well. The light outside begins to fade as evening approaches the town slowly. You can hear neighbours returning home and doors closing along the street. The day is winding down for everyone around you here too. Your brother stirs the pot and tastes the stew with a wooden spoon. He nods and removes it from the fire to let it cool. You set out the bowls and spoons on the table between you both. You eat the stew while it is still hot and steaming richly. The barley is soft and the fish flakes apart on your tongue. Your brother eats quietly across from you in the firelight's warm glow. Outside the window, the sky deepens from blue to purple to black. A few stars appear in the darkening space above the rooftops. You can hear a dog barking somewhere several streets away from here. When the bowls are empty, you clean them with water again carefully. You stack them back on the shelf where they belong each night. Your brother covers the remaining stew with a cloth for tomorrow's morning meal. The fire burns lower now, casting long shadows on the earthen walls. You add one more piece of wood to keep it alive overnight. The wood catches and crackles, sending sparks up toward the roof hole. You remove your belt and tunic and fold them on the chest. Your brother does the same, preparing for sleep as darkness settles in. You lie down on your straw mattress and pull the wool blanket up. The straw rustles beneath you as you find a comfortable position finally. Your muscles ache pleasantly from the long day of standing and walking. You close your eyes and listen to the fire's gentle crackling sounds. Your brother's breathing slows and deepens as he falls asleep across the room. You think about tomorrow and the work that waits for you then. The apprentice will come and you must be ready with good cloth. Sleep comes gradually as your body relaxes into the mattress beneath you. The sounds of the night fade away into the background of dreams. The fire glows red and orange in the darkness all around you. You wake again before dawn just as you did yesterday morning. The pattern repeats itself like the turning of a great slow wheel. You sit up and reach for your tunic in the cold darkness. The morning routine unfolds exactly as it did the day before this. You light the fire and eat porridge and prepare for the market. Your brother wraps the remaining cloth plus the additional blue wool carefully. The walk to the market feels familiar now under your feet travelling downhill. The same streets and the same corners and the same fountain pass by. Everything is known and comfortable in its predictable rhythm and pattern. You set up your display in the same spot as yesterday morning. The canvas spreads out and the cloth is arranged just as before. Other merchants arrive and greet you with nods of recognition and respect. The market opens and the flow of customers begins again steadily. You wait and watch and tend to those who stop to look. The morning sun climbs and the shadows shift across the cobblestones below. The tailor's apprentice arrives mid-morning as he said he would yesterday. You show him the new length of blue wool carefully unfolded. He holds it next to the piece from yesterday, comparing them closely. The colour matches perfectly, and he smiles with satisfaction at this sight. You measure it precisely, and he counts out the coins required slowly. The transaction completes, and he thanks you with a respectful bow of his head. You have sold both pieces of the valuable blue wool now entirely. This is good fortune and will help your savings grow steadily over time. You feel a quiet sense of accomplishment settle in your chest warmly. The rest of the day proceeds with smaller sales here and there occasionally. A servant buys linen for household use in the kitchen and workrooms. A farmer buys rough wool for patching his winter coat before cold comes. By afternoon you have sold more than half of what you brought today. Your purse grows heavier with coins that jingle when you move around. Your brother looks pleased as he watches the inventory decrease gradually throughout the day. You pack up earlier today because the remaining pieces are few and small. The walk home is lighter and easier than it was yesterday afternoon. You feel the satisfaction of 2 good days of trading behind you. At home you count the coins and divide them into the 3 piles. The savings pile is larger today, and this makes you smile briefly. You add the new coins to the hidden bags under the floor stone. Your brother suggests visiting the weaver tomorrow to order more cloth prepared. You will need new inventory soon if sales continue at this steady pace. You agree and make plans to go early before the market opens. The evening meal is simple again with bread and cheese and ale. You eat and rest and talk quietly about the week's progress so far. Your brother mentions he saw a new dye merchant in town yesterday. This is interesting news because good dye is always valuable and sought after. You decide to seek out this merchant and learn what colours he offers. New colours might attract different customers to your stall in the market square. Night falls and you prepare for sleep once more in the familiar routine. The fire burns low and the room grows dark and quiet around you. You lie down and let your body sink into rest and recovery. The next morning you wake and dress, but do not go to market. Instead, you and your brother walk to the weaver's workshop on the edge. The workshop is a long, low building with a thatched roof above. Inside, the air smells of lanolin and damp wool fibres everywhere around. Great looms stand in rows with weavers working at them rhythmically back and forth. The sound of the shuttles is like a wooden heartbeat steady. The master weaver sees you and approaches, wiping his hands on his apron. His beard is grey and his eyes are sharp with intelligence and experience. You tell him you need more cloth woven for your trade business. He shows you different qualities of wool and linen thread available currently. You feel the samples between your fingers, judging their weight and texture carefully. You select a medium quality wool that will sell well at market. You discuss quantities and delivery times and payment arrangements with him patiently. He writes everything down on a wax tablet with a stylus tool. You agree to pay half now and half on delivery of goods. You count out coins from your purse and place them in his palm. He counts them again and nods his approval of the amount given. The agreement is made, and you will return in 2 weeks' time. Outside the workshop, you and your brother discuss the new dye merchant next. You decide to find him today and see what he offers for sale. New opportunities must be explored when they appear before you here. You ask directions from a woman carrying water from the river nearby. She points toward the street where the stranger has set up shop. You thank her and walk in that direction through the morning crowds. The dye merchant's shop is small and tucked between a chandler and cooper. The door is open, and you can smell strange spices and herbs inside. You step through the doorway into the dim interior space within. Shelves line the walls, holding clay pots and wooden boxes of materials. The merchant is a thin man with stained fingers and a cautious smile. He greets you and asks what colours you seek for your work. You tell him you sell cloth and need dyes for wool primarily now. He shows you samples of different colours dried on small fabric squares. There are reds and yellows and greens and browns in many shades. One red catches your eye immediately with its deep, rich crimson tone. He tells you it comes from insects crushed and prepared with special methods. It is expensive, but the colour is remarkable and lasting, he says. You ask the price, and he names a sum that makes you pause. It is more than you expected, but the colour is truly exceptional. You tell him you will consider it and perhaps return when funds allow. He also shows you a golden yellow made from a plant root. This one is more affordable and still quite beautiful and bright. You think this colour would sell well to customers seeking something cheerful. You purchase a small amount of the yellow dye to try first. He wraps it carefully in paper and ties it with string securely. You pay him and promise to return if the results are good. Back home, you prepare a dye bath in a large pot outside. You heat water over a small fire in the yard behind your house. Your brother helps you measure the dye powder according to the merchant's instructions. You have a length of wool cloth that is undyed and ready. You wet it thoroughly in clean water first as instructed by the merchant. Then you lower it carefully into the steaming dye bath with a stick. The cloth must soak for a long time while you stir it occasionally. You tend the fire to keep the water at the right temperature always. Your brother watches and learns the process alongside you here today too. After an hour you lift the cloth out with the stick carefully. The colour is bright golden yellow and even throughout the fabric entirely. You rinse it in cool water until the water runs clear finally. You hang the cloth on a line to dry in the afternoon sun. The yellow glows brilliantly in the light and looks beautiful to your eyes. You feel excited about selling this new colour at the market soon. While the cloth dries, you prepare a simple midday meal of bread and onions. You eat sitting in the shade of the house, watching the fabric sway. The breeze is gentle and carries the smell of the river nearby. Your brother suggests dyeing another piece in a different colour for variety tomorrow. You agree this is a good plan to build up inventory slowly. Different colours will attract more customers to your stall you both know well. The afternoon passes peacefully with small tasks around the house and yard. You mend a hole in the canvas used for market displays carefully. Your brother sharpens the knife used for cutting cloth to proper measurements. Evening comes and you bring the dried yellow cloth inside to examine closely. The colour has set well, and the fabric is soft and undamaged. Tomorrow you will take it to market and see what response it brings. You fold it carefully and set it with the other pieces ready. The anticipation of tomorrow makes you feel energized despite the day's work already. This is the nature of your trade, always moving forward with hope. That night you sleep deeply and dream of colours swirling like water. Red and yellow and blue mix and separate in endless patterns around you. You wake feeling rested and ready for the new day ahead. The market day begins like others with the familiar walk downhill at dawn. But today you have the golden yellow cloth displayed prominently in front. The colour catches the early morning light and seems to glow warmly. People notice it immediately as they pass by your stall here this morning. Several stop to touch it and ask about the price and quality. You can see the interest in their eyes as they examine it. A merchant's wife buys the entire length before midday even arrives fully. She says it will make a beautiful dress for her daughter's wedding feast. She pays without haggling and seems delighted with her purchase entirely here. This quick sale encourages you greatly about the dyed cloth's potential for profit. You decide to purchase more dye and create additional coloured pieces soon. Your brother agrees enthusiastically with this plan for the future business. The rest of the market day is good, with steady sales continuing throughout. You sell almost all your remaining inventory by the afternoon hours arrive. Your purse is heavy, and your heart is light with success today. Walking home, you discuss plans for expanding the dyeing work at your house. You will need larger pots and more space to work efficiently with volume. Your brother suggests building a simple shelter in the yard for this purpose. Over the next several days, you work on preparing for more dyeing production. You purchase 2 large iron pots from the smith's forge downtown here. Your brother builds a wooden frame to hold them over fire pits. You return to the dye merchant and buy larger quantities this time around. You purchase the golden yellow again, plus a soft green made from plants. You decide to wait on the expensive red until profits grow larger. The dyeing work becomes a regular part of your routine each week now. You dye cloth in the mornings and take it to market when dry. Your brother helps with the heavy work and fire tending always beside you. The coloured cloth sells consistently better than the plain undyed pieces ever did. Customers seek you out specifically now for the bright, beautiful colours you offer. Your reputation begins to grow among the regular market traders and buyers here. You start to recognise certain customers who return again and again for more. A tailor's apprentice comes weekly to buy for his master's shop in town. A merchant buying for export purchases larger quantities at once for distant markets. Your savings grow steadily as the weeks pass into months of work together. You count the coins regularly and feel a sense of security building slowly. This trade provides a decent living for you and your brother both. One morning, a well-dressed man approaches your stall with a purposeful stride toward you. His clothes are fine wool, and his belt has silver decoration shining. He introduces himself as a guild master from the Clothiers Association here. He says he has noticed your work and the quality you provide consistently. He invites you to consider joining the guild officially as a recognized member. This would give you certain protections and access to better suppliers, he explains. You feel honored by this invitation and also slightly nervous about it too. Joining the guild means paying dues but also gaining respect and status. You tell him you will consider it carefully and provide an answer soon. That evening, you and your brother discuss the guild invitation at length seriously. The dues are significant, but the benefits seem worth the cost overall. You decide to accept and take this step forward in your trade. You meet with the guild master again and formally join the association proudly. You pay the entry fee and sign your mark in the guild register. You are now an official recognized clothier in the town's commercial structure. The guild membership opens new doors for your business steadily over time passing. You gain access to better quality raw materials at lower prices through connections. Other guild members share knowledge and advice about techniques and customers freely here. You learn about new dye recipes from an older guild member generously sharing his knowledge. He teaches you how to create a beautiful deep blue using woad plants. The process is complex, but the results are worth the effort required. Your brother proves to be naturally talented at dyeing work specifically here with you. He has an eye for colour and knows instinctively when a batch is ready. You begin to rely on his judgment more and more each day. Together you develop a system that works efficiently and produces consistent results always. You divide the tasks according to each person's strengths and preferences naturally. The work flows smoothly like a well-practiced dance between you both here. Your stall at the market becomes known for quality and fair dealing consistently over time. Customers trust you and recommend you to their friends and family members. Your business grows organically through reputation and word of mouth spreading outward. You begin to think about hiring an apprentice to help with increasing demand. The work is becoming too much for just 2 people to handle well. Your brother agrees and you begin asking around for a suitable young person. A boy of about 12 years comes recommended by another guild member you know. His name is Thomas and he is eager to learn a trade for life. You meet with him and his father to discuss the terms carefully. The apprenticeship will last 7 years with room and board provided by you. In return, he will work and learn and eventually become a skilled clothier himself. You agree to take him on and he begins the following Monday morning. Thomas proves to be a hard worker though, clumsy at first with everything new. You and your brother teach him patiently, one step at a time, slowly. He learns to measure cloth and fold it properly and tend the dye fires. Having Thomas helps immensely with the daily workload and tasks that must be done. You can focus more on the skilled work of dyeing and colour mixing. Your brother can spend more time at the market selling and building relationships. The seasons pass and your business continues to grow and evolve steadily here. Spring brings light colours that customers prefer for warmer weather coming soon. Summer means bright, vibrant shades that catch the eye in sunlight everywhere around. Autumn requires warmer, deeper colours like rust and brown and gold that echo falling leaves. Winter brings demand for dark, rich tones and heavy fabrics against the cold winds. You learn to anticipate these patterns and prepare inventory accordingly each time. One autumn day, a messenger arrives at your stall with an unusual request inside. A noble family in the countryside wants cloth for their household servant's livery. They need 20 lengths of cloth in their family colours precisely matched. This is a large order and a significant opportunity for profit and prestige both. You tell the messenger you can fulfill the order within 3 weeks' time. He nods and provides you with a sample of the exact colour required. The colour is a deep forest green that will require careful mixing and testing. You work for days experimenting with different dye combinations and ratios carefully measured. Finally, you achieve a match that satisfies your critical eye completely here. You and your brother and Thomas work together to dye all 20 lengths uniformly. Each piece must match the others exactly or the order will be rejected. You take great care with every step of the process conducted here today. The work takes 10 days of steady effort from dawn to dusk daily. Your hands are stained green and your back aches from stirring heavy pots. But the results are beautiful and uniform throughout all the pieces completed. You deliver the cloth to the noble's estate yourself on a borrowed cart. The steward examines each piece carefully in the daylight outside before accepting them. He nods his approval and pays you the agreed sum in full. The payment is more money than you have ever held at once before. You divide it carefully into the 3 piles as always at home later. The savings pile grows significantly with this single transaction completed well today. Word of this successful commission spreads through the guild and market quickly afterward. Other wealthy families begin to approach you with similar requests for their households. Your reputation reaches a new level of recognition and respect among the community. You realize you need more space to work and store inventory now growing. Your small house is cramped with fabric and dye materials everywhere around you. You begin looking for a larger workshop space to rent somewhere nearby. You find a suitable building near the market square that was a bakery once. It has a large main room and a smaller storage room behind it. There is also a yard for dyeing work with good drainage to the street. The rent is significant but manageable with your current income level flowing steadily. You sign an agreement with the landlord for 1 year renewable after that. You begin moving your operations to the new workshop over several days' time. The new space transforms your work completely with room to spread out comfortably. You set up dedicated areas for different tasks and processes clearly organized. Thomas helps arrange everything according to your instructions given to him carefully here. You install proper shelving along the walls for storing cloth and supplies neatly. You build sturdy tables for cutting and measuring and folding work done daily. The dye pots have permanent stations in the yard with proper drainage below. Your brother suggests hanging a sign outside to identify your business to passers-by clearly. You commission a sign painter to create something simple but professional looking here. The sign shows a piece of cloth, painted in rainbow colours proudly displayed. The workshop becomes a place of steady activity and productivity every day now. Thomas sweeps and cleans and keeps the fires burning consistently throughout the hours. Your brother manages sales and customer relationships with growing skill and confidence shown. You focus on the craft itself, perfecting techniques and experimenting with new ideas always. You create sample books showing all the colours you can produce reliably. Customers can browse these samples and order specific shades they desire for their needs. The business continues to prosper and grow as months turn into years passing. You take on a second apprentice when Thomas completes his training successfully here. Thomas stays on as a journeyman receiving wages for his skilled work now. Your brother marries a weaver's daughter and they have a baby son soon after. They live in rooms above the workshop, paying modest rent to you fairly. The family business expands naturally to include the next generation growing up here. You yourself remain unmarried, focused entirely on the work you love doing daily. The cloth and colours are like your children you sometimes think privately alone. Each piece receives your careful attention and devotion, fully given always without reservation or regret. The years continue their steady rhythm like the shuttle through a loom. Your hands grow more skilled with each season that passes by. The dye stains on your fingers become permanent marks of your trade. You wake each morning in the rooms above the workshop now comfortably. The space is larger than your old house and warmer in winter. You can hear the sounds of the workshop below even before dawn. Thomas arrives first each day to kindle the fires in the yard. He is no longer clumsy but moves with the confidence of experience. His own apprentice follows behind him, carrying wood and water for the day. Your brother's son is 4 years old now and toddles around the workshop. His mother keeps him away from the dye pots and sharp tools, but he watches everything with curious bright eyes that miss nothing here. The morning light comes through the workshop windows in golden streams of brightness. Dust motes float in the air like tiny stars suspended there weightlessly. You descend the stairs and begin your inspection of yesterday's work completed. 3 lengths of blue cloth hang drying on racks near the windows. The colour is even and deep like the summer sky at twilight. You touch each piece, checking for any irregularities or flaws within the weave. Thomas has prepared the dye bath for today's work already this morning. The pot steams gently over a well-tended fire in the yard outside. You smell the familiar earthy scent of woad rising on the air currents. You carry an armful of undyed wool cloth to the yard, carefully balanced. The fabric is soft and clean and ready to receive its colour transformation. You lower each piece into the bath one at a time slowly. The work requires patience and attention to detail, always without rushing or carelessness. You stir the bath with a long wooden pole smoothed by use. The cloth must move freely through the liquid to absorb colour evenly. Your brother emerges from his rooms upstairs with the baby on his hip. His wife follows, carrying bread and cheese for the morning meal shared together. This is the pattern of your days now, with family close around. You eat standing in the yard, watching the dye bath carefully tended still. The bread is fresh from the baker down the street nearby this morning. The cheese is sharp and pairs well with the soft bread perfectly. A customer arrives at the workshop door asking about an order placed last week. Your brother goes to speak with him while you continue the dyeing work. You hear their voices discussing prices and delivery times through the open doorway. The customer leaves satisfied, and your brother returns to help you carefully here. Together you lift the dyed cloth from the bath using wooden poles. The fabric is heavy with water and dye dripping steadily back down. You carry each piece to the rinsing trough filled with clean cold water. The excess dye washes away in clouds of blue swirling through the water. You rinse until the water runs clear, indicating the dye has set. Thomas helps you hang the cloth on lines stretched across the yard. The wet fabric is heavy and requires 2 people to manage it. The blue cloth hangs like flags against the morning sky behind them. While the cloth dries, you return inside to work on other tasks waiting. A merchant has ordered specific colours for silk thread he will sell abroad. You must mix small batches of dye for testing first before proceeding. You work at a table near the window where light is strongest and clearest. Small clay bowls hold different dye powders measured precisely with a tiny scale. You mix them with water, creating samples on scraps of silk fabric. Each sample is labelled carefully with marks indicating the recipe used for reference. You pin them to a board where they can dry and be compared. The colours range from pale pink to deep crimson in gradual steps. This detailed work requires concentration and a steady hand always throughout the process. You lose yourself in the work, forgetting time and the world outside. This is when you feel most alive and purposeful in your existence. Your brother's wife brings you a cup of ale at midday, breaking your focus. You drink gratefully and realise your back aches from bending over the table. You stand and stretch, feeling your spine crack and release tension held. The workshop has become warm from the fires and the afternoon sun streaming. You open the door wider to let cool air flow through the space. The sounds of the street outside drift in with voices and cartwheels. A guild meeting is scheduled for this evening at the hall downtown here. You must attend as you now serve on the Council of Elders. This responsibility came with years of successful trading and respect earned over time. You wash your hands and face in a basin of clean water provided. You change into your better tunic reserved for official business and appearances made. Your brother will mind the workshop while you attend the meeting tonight. The walk to the guild hall takes you through familiar streets at sunset. The light is golden and soft, making everything glow warmly around you here. Shopkeepers are closing their shutters and sweeping their doorsteps clean for night. The guild hall is a substantial stone building with an oak door carved. Inside the main room has long tables arranged in a square formation. Other guild members are already seated, talking quietly among themselves here gathered. You take your place at the council table near the front, respectfully positioned. The guild master calls the meeting to order with 3 raps of his staff. The room falls silent and everyone turns their attention forward to him. The meeting proceeds through various matters of business and guild affairs discussed tonight. There are disputes to settle between members regarding territory and competition issues. There are new regulations from the town council to discuss and implement. You listen carefully and offer your opinion when asked by the master. Your voice carries weight now after years of demonstrated wisdom and fairness shown. The younger members listen when you speak with respect for your experience. One matter concerns a journeyman who has been accused of poor workmanship repeatedly. The customer has brought a complaint formally to the guild for resolution. The cloth in question is examined and passed around the table carefully. You can see immediately that the dye work is uneven and sloppy overall. The colours are muddy and the fabric has been damaged by improper technique. This reflects poorly on the guild's reputation and standards maintained here always. The council decides the journeyman must redo the work at his own expense. He must also attend additional training with a master before working independently again. This is fair and necessary to maintain quality standards for everyone's benefit. The meeting continues for 2 hours, discussing various other matters at length tonight. Finally, the business is concluded and the guildmaster dismisses the gathering formally. Members stand and begin talking more casually now as they prepare to leave. You walk home through streets now dark with only occasional torches burning. The night air is cool and refreshing after the stuffy guild hall. Stars shine brightly overhead in the clear sky above the rooftops here. At the workshop, your brother waits with a lamp burning in the window. He reports the day's end went smoothly without problems or issues arising. The baby is asleep and his wife is mending clothes by firelight. You climb the stairs to your rooms, feeling the weight of the day. Your bed is simple but comfortable with clean sheets and wool blankets. You lie down and let sleep take you into darkness and rest deserved. Morning comes again as it always does, with light creeping into the room. You rise and begin the daily routine that structures your life completely. The work is waiting as it always is, endlessly flowing forward onward. Today you plan to experiment with a new dye combination you've imagined. A purple shade that is neither too red nor too blue perfectly. Such a colour would be valuable and distinctive in the market, certainly. You gather materials from the storage room, selecting carefully what you need here. Madder root for red tones and woad for blue, mixed together precisely. The ratio will determine the final shade achieved through the process undertaken. You work alone on this experiment, wanting to focus without distraction or interruption. The workshop is quiet in the early morning before others arrive for work. You measure and mix and heat the dye bath to proper temperature. A small piece of wool cloth serves as your test sample for this trial. You immerse it in the purple liquid and watch it absorb the colour. The shade that emerges is close but not quite right yet for your vision. You adjust the ratio, adding more madder to deepen the red undertones present. Another test piece goes into the modified bath and comes out darker. You continue this process of adjustment and testing throughout the morning hours. By midday, you've achieved a purple that satisfies your critical eye finally. It is rich and deep like crushed grapes or twilight sky in summer. You feel a surge of satisfaction at this successful creation made real today. Thomas arrives and you show him the new colour with quiet pride evident. He admires it and suggests dyeing a full length to display tomorrow. You agree and begin preparing a larger batch of dye immediately together. The work of scaling up a recipe is delicate and precise in execution. The ratios must be maintained exactly or the colour will not match. You measure everything twice and record the amounts in your private notebook. By evening you have dyed 3 full lengths in the new purple shade. They hang drying in the workshop, spreading their rich colour through the space. Tomorrow you will take them to market and gauge customer interest carefully. That night you dream of colours again as you often do, sleeping deeply. Purple flows like water, transforming into other shades and hues, endlessly changing. You wake feeling eager to see how the market responds today. The purple cloth attracts attention immediately when displayed at your stall this morning. People stop and touch it and ask questions about the unique shade. Several customers express interest but want to think about the price quoted. A bishop's secretary approaches in the afternoon with a serious expression worn. He examines the purple cloth very closely in the sunlight, carefully inspecting quality. He asks if you can produce 20 lengths of this exact colour. This would be for vestments and altar cloths for the cathedral downtown here. The commission would be prestigious and profitable for your workshop, significantly so. You tell him yes, you can fulfill this order within 1 month. He nods and discusses the terms and payment schedule with you at length. Half the payment will come upon agreement and half upon delivery completed. You agree and shake hands, formally sealing the arrangement made between you. This is the largest commission you have received since starting your business years ago. You feel both excited and nervous about meeting the high expectations set. The cathedral's standards are exacting and there is no room for error. You return to the workshop and inform your brother and Thomas immediately here. Everyone must work together to complete this order successfully and on time. You begin planning the production schedule and materials needed carefully tonight here. The next morning you purchase all the madder, root and woad available locally. You send Thomas to neighbouring towns to buy more from suppliers there. Every ingredient must be of the highest quality for this important work. You set up a dedicated dyeing area just for this cathedral commission exclusively. The pots are thoroughly cleaned and the yard is swept completely clear. Nothing can contaminate the dye baths or affect the colour consistency required. The work begins in earnest with everyone focused on this single project entirely. You dye 2 lengths at a time to ensure perfect matching between pieces. Each batch is carefully monitored and controlled throughout the entire process conducted. Your brother's wife helps by preparing meals so no one needs to stop. Thomas's apprentice keeps the fires burning at exactly the right temperature always. Everyone contributes to the success of this endeavour, undertaken together as a team. The days blend together in a rhythm of work and rest repeated. You wake and dye and rinse and hang and sleep and repeat again. The purple cloth accumulates slowly on the drying racks, filling the workspace completely. After 2 weeks, you have completed 15 lengths that all match perfectly together. 5 more remain to finish the order as agreed upon initially here. You feel cautiously optimistic about meeting the deadline set before you all. But then disaster strikes when a pot cracks suddenly, while heating overnight unattended. The entire batch of dye spills across the yard in a purple flood. 2 lengths of cloth are ruined completely by the contaminated dye mixture. You stand looking at the mess, feeling despair rising in your chest. This setback means you must start those 2 pieces over again completely. Time is short and materials are running low after weeks of intensive work. Your brother places a hand on your shoulder, offering silent support and comfort. Thomas begins cleaning up the spilled dye without being asked to do it. Together you face this challenge and begin again with renewed determination and focus. You work through the night to prepare new dye and cloth immediately without rest. Your hands shake with exhaustion, but you push forward regardless of tiredness. The cathedral commission must be completed successfully no matter what obstacles arise. By dawn you have 2 new lengths soaking in fresh purple dye. The colour looks good, you feel hope returning to your weary heart. You allow yourself a few hours of sleep before continuing the work ahead. The final pieces are completed 3 days before the deadline arrives at last. You inspect every length carefully in bright sunlight, checking for any flaws present. All 20 pieces match perfectly in colour and quality throughout their entire length. You deliver the cloth to the cathedral with your brother beside you proudly. The bishop's secretary examines each piece thoroughly before accepting them all finally here. He expresses his satisfaction and pays the remaining balance owed to you. Walking back to the workshop, you feel lighter than you have in weeks. The commission is complete successfully, and your reputation is enhanced greatly by this work. You and your brother laugh together in relief and joy at success. That evening you celebrate with a special meal of roasted meat and wine. Your brother's family joins you and Thomas and his apprentice as well together. Everyone who contributed to this success shares in the celebration and gratitude. The cathedral commission leads to other opportunities from wealthy patrons seeking quality work done. Your workshop becomes known throughout the region for exceptional dyeing and craftsmanship shown. Orders increase steadily, requiring you to expand your operation further over time. You take on 2 more apprentices to handle the growing workload coming in. The workshop operates from dawn until dusk every day except Sundays reserved. The sound of your success echoes through the town in subtle ways. Your savings have grown to a substantial sum, kept safely hidden carefully. You begin to consider purchasing the workshop building outright instead of renting it. This would provide security and allow improvements to be made permanently installed. You approach the landlord with an offer to purchase the property outright now. He considers it and names a price that is high but not unreasonable. You negotiate carefully and reach an agreement that satisfies both parties involved. The transaction is completed through the guild's legal representatives properly documented in writing. You now own the building and the land it sits upon entirely. This feels like a significant milestone in your life's journey travelled thus far. Your brother suggests celebrating by improving the workshop with better equipment and facilities. You agree and commission new dye pots made of better quality iron forged. You install proper drainage channels in the yard to manage wastewater better. The improvements take several weeks to complete but transform the workspace significantly improved. Everything functions more efficiently and safely than before these changes were made. You feel pride in what you have built here over the years. One spring morning, a young woman comes to the workshop seeking employment here. She is a widow with knowledge of weaving and cloth preparation learned well. You're hesitant at first to employ a woman in the workshop, but she demonstrates her skills and knowledge, impressing you with her competence shown clearly. You decide to give her a trial period working alongside the others. She proves to be an excellent addition to the team working here. Her name is Margaret and she brings a different perspective to the work. She suggests improvements to how cloth is prepared before dyeing that increase efficiency. She also has an eye for colour combinations that creates new possibilities. Over time, Margaret becomes an integral part of the workshop operations daily conducted. She works as hard as any man and demands respect through her skill. Your initial hesitation seems foolish now looking back on those early doubts held. The workshop continues to thrive and grow with each passing year steadily forward. Your reputation spreads beyond the region to distant cities and the markets elsewhere. Merchants come specifically seeking your cloth for their customers demanding quality work. You train each apprentice with the same patience you were shown long ago. You pass on knowledge and techniques accumulated over decades of practice and refinement. This is your legacy being built one student at a time here. Your brother's son is now old enough to begin learning the trade properly. He starts as an apprentice under Thomas, who has become a master himself. The cycle continues forward into the next generation following after you all. You are no longer young but not yet old either in this middle time. Your hair has grey threads mixed with the brown it once was. Your hands are marked with scars and stains from years of dedicated work. But you are content with the life you have built through effort and skill. The workshop hums with activity and purpose every day, consistently maintained here. You've created something lasting that will continue after you are gone. The seasons turn and the years pass in their endless cycle forward always. Spring brings light colours, and summer brings bright ones, as it always has. Autumn brings warm tones, and winter brings deep rich shades year after year. You stand in the workshop yard one morning watching Thomas teach young apprentices dyeing. The sun is warm on your face and the smell of woad fills the air. This is your life's work made visible before your eyes completely. Margaret calls from inside that a customer has arrived with a special request. You turn and walk inside to see what is needed today now. The work continues as it always has and always will, endlessly forward onward. Your steps are slower now than they once were in younger days. The stairs to your rooms above the workshop require more effort each evening. But your mind remains sharp and your hands still know their work. The customer waiting inside is a merchant from a distant coastal city. His clothes speak of wealth earned through successful trading ventures undertaken abroad. He seeks cloth in colours that will appeal to foreign markets overseas. You listen carefully to his requirements and ask questions about his customers' preferences. He describes colours popular in lands across the sea you have never seen. Blues like the ocean deep and greens like tropical forests growing there. You show him samples from your collection developed over many years of work. He examines each one carefully, holding them to the light streaming through windows. Some please him and others he dismisses with a shake of his head. Together you discuss creating custom colours specifically for his foreign trade routes established. This will require experimentation and testing to achieve exactly what he envisions here. You agree to develop samples within 2 weeks for his approval then. After he leaves, you sit at your work table considering the challenge presented today. Foreign markets mean new opportunities, but also unknown preferences and standards to meet. You feel the old excitement of creative problem-solving rising within you still. Margaret joins you at the table with suggestions based on her own ideas. She proposes mixing indigo with certain yellow plants to create distinctive greens desired. Her knowledge of plants and their properties continues to surprise you pleasantly always. Thomas contributes his thoughts about dyeing techniques that might enhance colour depth needed. The three of you plan and discuss late into the afternoon together here. This collaboration has become the heart of your workshop's success over time. The next days are spent experimenting with different dye combinations and methods tested. You create dozens of samples on small fabric squares, carefully labelled always. Each one is slightly different, exploring the range of possibilities available to you. Your brother handles the regular business while you focus on this special project. He has become an excellent manager of daily operations and customer relationships built. You trust him completely to maintain standards and quality in your temporary absence. The samples gradually narrow down to a few promising options worth developing further. You refine these repeatedly until they match your vision of what will succeed. Finally, you have 6 colours you feel confident presenting to the merchant soon. The merchant returns on the appointed day and examines your samples with great interest. He holds each one and studies it from different angles in the light. His expression reveals nothing of his thoughts as he considers each option carefully. Finally, he smiles and selects 4 of the 6 colours you have created. He places an order for 50 lengths of cloth, divided among these colours. The order is substantial and will keep your workshop busy for months ahead. You negotiate price and delivery terms that are favourable to both parties involved. The merchant pays a deposit and promises the remainder upon delivery of goods. You shake hands and he departs looking satisfied with the arrangement made today. This new direction opens possibilities for your business you had not considered fully before. Trading with foreign markets could expand your reach beyond anything previously imagined here. You discussed this potential with your brother and Thomas at length that evening. The work begins on the large order, with everyone contributing their efforts fully. You dye and rinse and dry endless lengths of cloth in the specified colours. The workshop operates at full capacity from dawn until well after dark. Your nephew proves himself capable during this intensive period of production ongoing here. He works tirelessly alongside the others, without complaint or signs of weakness shown. You see yourself in him at that age, and feel proud quietly. Margaret develops an improved system for tracking each piece of cloth through the process. She marks them with temporary dyes that wash out later during rinsing stages. This prevents confusion and ensures consistent quality maintained throughout all pieces produced here. The months pass in focused work with little time for anything else beyond sleeping. Your hands ache at night and your back protests the long hours standing. But you push forward knowing the importance of fulfilling this commission successfully completed. Finally, all 50 lengths are completed and laid out for final inspection before delivery. The colours are consistent and beautiful, spread across the workshop floor below you. You feel deep satisfaction at what has been accomplished here through collective effort. The merchant arrives with a cart to transport the cloth to his ships. He inspects the work and expresses his complete satisfaction with the quality achieved. He pays the remainder owed, and adds a bonus for exceptional work done. He tells you he will return with more orders after testing these goods overseas. He believes your cloth will sell extremely well in foreign markets they're waiting. This validation of your work means more than the money earned today somehow. After he leaves, you gather everyone in the workshop for a moment together. You thank them all for their dedication and skill shown during these months. You distribute portions of the bonus among them fairly according to contributions made. That evening you sit alone in your rooms with a cup of wine watching the sunset. The sky is painted in colours you have learned to create with your hands. You think about the journey from that first morning lighting the fire. So much has changed since you were young selling simple cloth at market. Now you own a successful workshop employing many people who depend on you. Your reputation extends to distant lands across the sea you will never visit. But the fundamental work remains the same as it always was before all this. You still mix dyes and heat pots and judge colours with your eyes. The satisfaction comes from the work itself, not from the success it brings. The foreign merchant returns regularly over the following years with consistent orders placed. Your workshop becomes known for supplying exotic colours to international trade routes. Other merchants begin seeking similar arrangements with you for their own ventures abroad. You must expand the workshop again to meet the growing demand continually increasing. You purchase the building next door when it becomes available for sale. You break through the wall connecting the two spaces into one larger area. The expanded workshop allows for specialized areas dedicated to different tasks performed daily. One section for dyeing, another for drying, another for finishing and folding cloth. The organization improves efficiency and quality control maintained throughout the entire process here. You employ 12 people now, including apprentices and journeymen and skilled workers too. Margaret has become your unofficial partner, managing much of the daily operations. Your brother focuses on sales and customer relations exclusively now with great success. Thomas has opened his own smaller workshop across town, serving local customers primarily. You helped him get started with loans and advice given freely always. He remains loyal and often collaborates with you on larger projects undertaken together. Still, your hair is mostly grey now and your face is lined with age. Your hands are gnarled from decades of work in dye and water cold. But you continue working every day because it is who you are entirely. The Guild has honoured you with a lifetime achievement recognition for contributions made. Your name is recorded in the Guild's history book alongside other notable masters. This pleases you, though you do not dwell on such honours much, really. Young clothiers seek you out asking for advice and guidance in their work. You share what you know willingly as others once did for you long ago. This passing of knowledge feels important, like planting seeds for future harvests coming later. One autumn morning you wake feeling particularly tired and weak throughout your body. You dress slowly and descend the stairs carefully, holding the rail tightly always. Margaret notices immediately and insists you rest today instead of working here. You protest, but she is firm and your brother agrees with her assessment made. They guide you to a chair near the window where sunlight streams warmly. You sit and watch the workshop operate without your direct involvement for once. It is strange seeing the work continue smoothly without you directing every step. Everyone knows their role and performs it competently without needing instruction or guidance. You realize they no longer truly need you for daily operations anymore. This realization brings mixed feelings of pride and melancholy both at once together. You have built something that can survive without you, which is success truly. But it also means your time of essential usefulness is passing inevitably forward. Over the following weeks, you work less and rest more as your body demands. Margaret and your brother manage everything with skill and confidence you have taught them. You become more of an advisor, offering suggestions when asked occasionally only. Your nephew is now a skilled journeyman, ready to become a master himself soon. You begin teaching him the secret techniques and recipes you have developed over decades. He listens carefully and takes notes in a book he keeps private always. You show him how to judge dye readiness by smell and colour and texture. You explain the subtle adjustments needed for different fabrics and weather conditions present. You share the wisdom accumulated through countless experiments and occasional failures learned from deeply. He absorbs everything like dry earth soaking up rain after drought finally broken. You see the same passion in his eyes that you once felt yourself. This continuity across generations gives meaning to all the years of work behind you. Winter comes and you spend most days sitting by the fire now watching. The cold makes your joints ache and your energy is limited, increasingly so. But your mind remains clear and you still advise on difficult colour matching. Margaret brings you samples to examine and give opinions about when needed here. Your eye for colour has not diminished despite your body's decline evident now. You can still see subtle differences others miss completely in their observations made. Your brother visits daily, reporting on business matters and seeking your counsel sometimes. His son is now apprenticed in the workshop, learning the trade properly from the beginning. The family tradition continues forward into yet another generation following after all of you. One morning you ask Margaret to help you down to the workshop floor. You want to dye one more piece of cloth with your own hands. She hesitates but sees the determination in your eyes and helps you carefully. You select a length of fine white wool, soft and clean, waiting there. You choose indigo for the dye, because it was the first colour you truly mastered. The deep blue has always held special meaning for you throughout your life. Your hand shakes slightly as you lower the cloth into the dye bath prepared. Margaret stands ready to help if needed, but you wave her back gently. You want to do this yourself, one final time, completely alone with the work. The cloth soaks and you stir it slowly with the wooden pole worn smooth. The motion is familiar, like breathing or walking after so many years repeated. You feel at peace standing here doing this simple task once more fully. You lift the cloth out and watch the blue deepen as air touches it. The transformation never stops amazing you, no matter how many times witnessed before. This is magic made real through knowledge and skill applied with care always. Margaret helps you carry the dyed cloth to rinse it clean of excess dye. Together you hang it to dry in the winter sunlight, pale but warm still. You stand looking at it, feeling complete satisfaction deep within your chest here. That night you sleep deeply and dream of colours swirling like before in youth. But now you float among them peacefully without urgency or striving forward needed. You are simply present within the beauty you have spent your life creating. You wake the next morning feeling peaceful and ready for whatever comes next. You have lived a good life doing work you loved among people you cared for. The workshop will continue after you bring in beauty and livelihood to others still. You dress and go downstairs to find everyone gathered in the workshop floor. They have hung the blue cloth you dyed yesterday in a place of honour. It glows in the morning light like a piece of sky brought indoors. Margaret approaches and takes your hand gently in hers with affection shown clearly. She thanks you for everything you have taught her over the years together. Your brother embraces you with tears in his eyes, unspoken between you both. Your nephew stands straight and promises to uphold the standards you have established here. He will carry forward the techniques and the reputation you have built carefully. You nod knowing he will succeed because he has learned well from you. The day proceeds quietly with light work and conversation among all gathered here. You sit in your chair watching the workshop life continue around you everywhere. The sounds and smells are comforting like a warm blanket wrapped close around. As afternoon fades to evening, you feel tiredness settling deep into your bones. Margaret helps you up the stairs one last time to your rooms above. You lie down on your bed and she covers you with blankets gently. Through the window you can see the first stars appearing in the darkening sky. They shine like the sparks you once struck to light your first fire long ago. Everything connects in circles, returning to beginnings, always in the end here. You close your eyes and let yourself drift into sleep's embrace willingly now. The colours swirl behind your eyelids in patterns beautiful and infinite, spreading outward. You've lived surrounded by the beauty, created with your own hands throughout this life. The workshop below continues its work as night falls over the town completely. The fires glow in the yard and voices murmur in the gathering darkness. Life goes on as it must, carrying forward what you have begun here. Your breathing slows and becomes shallow as the night deepens around you everywhere. The colours in your mind grow brighter and more vivid than ever before seen. You move toward them without fear or hesitation, and your heart felt deeply. Margaret checks on you later and finds you have passed peacefully in sleep. Your face is calm and looks younger than it has in years past. She sits beside you for a while in silence, saying her private goodbye. The next days bring mourning and remembrance among all who knew you well here. The Guild holds a ceremony honouring your life and contributions made throughout decades. Your name is spoken with respect and your work is praised genuinely. You are buried in the town cemetery with a simple stone marker placed. Your brother arranges for it to be carved with symbols of your trade. A piece of cloth and a dye pot are etched into the stone simply. The workshop closes for 3 days of mourning, as is customary and respectful here. Then it reopens and continues the work you began so long ago before. Margaret and your brother lead it forward, maintaining the standards you established always. Your nephew becomes a master clothier and eventually takes over the workshop completely. He teaches his own children the craft just as you taught him patiently. The knowledge passes down through generations like a river flowing steadily onward. The colours you created continue to be produced using your techniques and recipes. Your influence extends far beyond your lifetime through the work of those you trained. This is the true legacy of a craftsman's life, lived fully and well. Years later, travellers still speak of the clothier who made colours sing beautifully. Stories tell of quality and dedication that set standards for others to follow. Your name becomes part of the town's history and the Guild's proud traditions. The workshop building stands for generations continuing the work you started there once. Different hands mix the dyes and tend the fires burning steadily always. But the spirit of craftsmanship you embodied remains present in the space somehow. The blue cloth you dyed on your last day is preserved carefully wrapped. It is brought out occasionally to show apprentices what true mastery looks like. The colour remains vibrant and pure even as decades pass by slowly here. Margaret lives many more years managing the workshop with wisdom you taught her always. She never remarries but dedicates herself to the work and the people employed. She becomes known as a master in her own right, eventually recognised. Your brother's grandchildren grow up hearing stories about you told around the fire. They learn that dedication and passion create meaning in ordinary work done well. This lesson shapes their own lives as they choose their paths forward. The town grows and changes, but the workshop remains a constant presence, always there. New buildings rise around it, but it stands as it was originally built. The sign you commissioned still hangs outside, though weathered by time and elements. Sometimes on quiet mornings when the light is just right, coming through windows bright. Workers pause and feel a presence watching over them with satisfaction and approval. They smile and return to their tasks, knowing they continue something important here. The dye pots still steam in the yard, as they have for generations now. The smell of woad and madder still fills the air on dyeing days scheduled. The colours still transform plain cloth into beauty as they always have done. Your life was not remarkable in the grand scheme of history recorded elsewhere. You did not lead armies or build monuments or rule kingdoms at all. But you created beauty and provided livelihoods and taught others with generosity given. You took simple materials and transformed them through knowledge and skill applied carefully. You brought colour into a world that needed beauty amid hardship and struggle. You lived with integrity and dedication to your craft chosen early on. This is the life of a clothier in the Middle Ages lived fully explored. Days of repetitive work interspersed with moments of creative satisfaction achieved sometimes. A community built around shared labour and mutual support given freely always. The rhythm of seasons and markets and orders continues endlessly forward in time. Each generation adds their own contributions to the tradition inherited from before them. The work connects past and present and future in unbroken lines stretching onward. Your story ends, but the story of the craft continues without pause or interruption. New hands learn to judge colour and mix dyes and transform fabric carefully. The knowledge you preserved and passed on lives beyond your own mortality here. In the end, this is what remains of any life lived with purpose. The work you did and the people you influenced and the beauty created. These things echo forward long after the individual voice falls silent forever at last. The workshop closes each evening as the sun sets over the town below. Tomorrow it will open again and the work will continue as it always has. This is the eternal rhythm of craft and commerce and human endeavour ongoing. Somewhere in the building your presence lingers faintly like a fragrance remembered distantly. The younger workers feel it without understanding exactly what they sense around them, but they know they are part of something larger than themselves alone here, and so the story concludes where it began with morning light and fires lit. The work of making beauty from ordinary materials continues every day still now. This was your life, and it was enough, and it mattered deeply, truly. The years continue their endless procession forward through time, passing always inevitably onward. The workshop stands as it has for decades now against changing seasons. Inside the work continues with rhythms established long ago by hands now gone. Margaret eventually grows old herself and trains her own successor with patience learned. A young woman named Anna takes on increasing responsibility as Margaret's strength fades. The torch passes from one generation to the next as it must. Anna brings fresh ideas while respecting the traditions that built this place up. She experiments with new colour combinations your recipes make possible still today. She discovers a rust orange that becomes highly sought after by customers everywhere. Your nephew's children have children of their own learning the trade now too. The family connection to the workshop stretches across 4 generations living here. Each one adds something unique while maintaining the core standards you established first. The town itself has grown larger with new streets and markets opening elsewhere. But the old market square remains the heart of commerce conducted daily. Your workshop stall is still considered one of the finest places to buy. New technologies arrive slowly changing how some aspects of work are done. Better tools and improved materials make certain tasks easier than they were before. But the fundamental craft of dyeing remains largely unchanged across the decades passing. The Guild adapts to changing times while preserving what matters most to members. Younger masters push for reforms and older ones resist too much change. Your name is invoked often as an example of balance and wisdom. Margaret passes away peacefully in her sleep at a great age achieved finally. The workshop closes for a full week honouring her contributions made over many years. She is buried near your grave with a stone marker beside yours. Anna becomes the workshop's new leader, guiding it into a new era ahead. She maintains the quality standards but expands into new markets opening up elsewhere. Trade routes extend further than ever before, connecting distant lands together now. The workshop now employs 20 people working in shifts throughout the long days. The space has been expanded again, taking over a 3rd building next door. The yard contains multiple dyeing stations operating simultaneously every day without pause. Your original recipes are kept in a locked chest passed down carefully through time. Only the master of the workshop has access to these precious secrets written. They are studied and applied with reverence for the knowledge they contain. A great plague sweeps through the region, killing many people in its path. The workshop closes temporarily as the town mourns and buries its dead. When it reopens, fewer workers return, but the survivors carry on bravely. Anna herself survives the plague and leads the rebuilding efforts undertaken afterward here. She hires new apprentices to replace those lost to the terrible sickness. The workshop recovers slowly but surely as months pass into years again. The demand for fine cloth continues despite the hardships people have endured together. Perhaps because of suffering, people crave beauty and colour even more now. The workshop provides this small comfort to a wounded world healing slowly. Wars come and go, affecting trade routes and the availability of materials needed. Sometimes certain dyes become impossible to obtain for years at a time. The workshop adapts using alternative materials and methods developed through necessity born. Through all these changes, the essential character of the place remains constant somehow. It is still a place where skill and dedication transform simple cloth. It is still a place where knowledge passes from experienced hands to eager. Anna trains her successor before she becomes too old to work effectively anymore. A master named Peter takes over, continuing the traditions established generations ago now. He is not family, but he understands the workshop's soul and purpose. Peter introduces careful innovations that improve efficiency without sacrificing quality at all ever. He reorganizes the workspace and creates better systems for tracking orders placed here. Under his leadership, the workshop prospers and grows even more successfully than before. The building itself requires major repairs after years of constant use and weather. Peter oversees a renovation that strengthens the structure while preserving its character intact. New beams replace rotten ones and the roof is completely rebuilt properly. During renovation, workers find something hidden in a wall cavity discovered accidentally while working. It is a small wooden box wrapped in oiled cloth, protecting it well. Inside are your original notes and sample books preserved remarkably over time. Peter opens the box carefully with reverence for what it represents to everyone. Your handwriting is faded but still legible on the pages yellowed with age. The fabric samples are still vibrant, showing the quality of your work done. He decides to display these precious items in the workshop where all can see. A special cabinet is built with glass doors to protect them from damage. Workers and visitors can view the origins of their craft practiced here daily. The discovery of your notes renews interest in the workshop's history and heritage here. Stories about you are retold and embellished with each telling over time passing. You become almost a legend within the guild and the town's collective memory. Young apprentices are told to study your techniques and emulate your dedication shown always. Your approach to colour mixing is analysed and discussed in guild meetings held. Your life becomes a teaching tool for values the craft represents fundamentally. The workshop celebrates its 100th anniversary with a great gathering of all connected. Current workers and former apprentices and customers and guild members attend the event. The day is filled with demonstrations and displays and shared meals together. Peter gives a speech honouring you as the founder whose vision created this. He speaks of your dedication to quality and your generosity in teaching others. He reminds everyone that the work continues because of foundations you laid strong. A portrait is commissioned showing you at your work table mixing dyes with concentration. The artist works from descriptions provided by those who knew you in life. The painting hangs in the workshop's main room where everyone can see. Trade continues to expand as new lands are discovered across distant oceans somewhere. Exotic materials arrive from places with strange names spoken in foreign tongues unknown. The workshop incorporates these new possibilities into the old traditions carefully maintained. But some things never change, no matter how much time passes by steadily. The smell of dye bath steaming is the same as it was decades ago. The satisfaction of achieving the perfect colour remains constant across all generations working. Young people still come seeking to learn this ancient craft passed down through time. They still start with the simplest tasks and gradually learn more complex techniques. They still make mistakes and learn from them just as you once did. The market square has been renovated multiple times but remains recognisable still somewhat. New shops surround it, but the basic layout follows the original pattern established. Your workshop stall location is considered prime real estate now as it was then. Peter eventually retires and the workshop passes to new leadership once more again. Each transition brings anxiety but also excitement about what comes next forward. The cycle of renewal keeps the workshop alive and relevant to changing times. The guild itself faces challenges as new methods threaten traditional ways of working. Some argue for modernization, while others defend time-tested approaches proven successful over time. Your legacy is invoked by both sides, supporting their arguments made passionately. A compromise emerges, preserving core techniques while allowing some innovation and adaptation forward. This balanced approach mirrors the way you lived and worked throughout your lifetime. The guild survives and continues serving its members well into the future ahead. 200 years after your death, the workshop still stands operating successfully every day. The building has been modified and expanded many times over the generations passing, but the original core structure remains at its heart, beating still strongly. Your name is now part of local folklore and history taught to children learning. Stories tell of the clothier whose colours were so beautiful they made people cry. Whether true or exaggerated, the stories keep your memory alive and meaningful. The techniques you developed have spread far beyond this single workshop's walls erected long ago. Masters from other towns and countries have learned from those you taught directly. Your influence extends across continents in ways you never could have imagined then. Modern scholars study historical documents trying to understand medieval craft production methods used. Your preserved notes become valuable primary sources for their research, conducted carefully now. Your practical knowledge contributes to academic understanding of the period you lived. The workshop itself becomes a protected historical site eventually many years later still. It cannot be demolished or altered significantly without special permission granted officially by authorities. This ensures it will stand for future generations to see and learn. Tourists visit the workshop to see where the legendary clothier once worked daily. They buy cloth dyed using methods you pioneered centuries ago, now still practiced. The business thrives partly on historical appeal, but mostly on quality maintained always. Inside the workshop, apprentices still learn by doing as you once learned yourself. They still burn their fingers on hot pots and make colour mistakes at first. They still experience the joy of creating something beautiful from raw materials given. The cycle continues unbroken, linking past to present to future in endless chain forged. Each generation adds their link, while honouring those who came before them all here. This continuity is the true achievement of a craft tradition preserved over time. Your grave in the cemetery has become a small pilgrimage site for clothiers visiting. They leave offerings of fabric scraps dyed in beautiful colours as tribute given. The stone marker is worn smooth by the weather and the touch of countless hands. Sometimes on special anniversaries, the guild holds ceremonies at your graveside gathered together. They pour a libation of dye onto the ground, honouring your memory and contributions. They renew their commitment to the standards you exemplified in life lived. Your story has been written down multiple times by different authors over centuries. Each version emphasizes different aspects depending on the writer's purpose and perspective held, but all agree on your dedication and skill and generous teaching of others. Some accounts focus on your business success and the wealth you accumulated over time. Others emphasize your technical innovations and the colors you created and perfected carefully. Still others highlight your character and the respect you earned from all. The truth is probably that you were simply a person who loved your work. You found meaning in the daily practice of your craft and pursued it with focus. You shared what you learned and built something that lasted beyond yourself here. This is perhaps the greatest achievement any person can hope to attain in life. To do work that matters and do it well with integrity maintained throughout years. To leave the world a little more beautiful than you found it upon arrival. The workshop continues into its 3rd century of operation, serving the community still. New challenges arise, but the fundamental mission remains unchanged from the beginning always. Create beautiful cloth through skill and care, applied with dedication to excellence. Young workers today barely think about the distant past when this all started somewhere. For them, the workshop has always existed as it does now in present time. But the older workers remember and tell stories, keeping history alive and relevant. The dye pots still bubble and steam just as they did in your time long ago. The colours still bloom on wet cloth as they always have for centuries passing. The magic of transformation continues generation after generation without end in sight. Your legacy is not just the workshop building or the recipes you developed carefully over years. It is the lives you touched and the knowledge you shared and the standards established. It is the beauty you brought into the world that continues to multiply. Every piece of cloth dyed in your workshop carries forward something of your spirit. Every apprentice trained in your methods becomes a vessel for your knowledge accumulated through time. Every customer who buys beautiful fabric benefits from your life's work done. This rippling effect extends outward infinitely, touching people you never met or knew existed. A woman wears a dress dyed with your technique and feels beautiful and confident. A child wraps in a blanket coloured with your method and feels warm. These small moments of beauty and comfort are your true monument, built lasting forever. Not grand or obvious, but present everywhere in countless lives touched indirectly over time. This is how ordinary work becomes extraordinary through dedication and love applied. The sun sets over the workshop as it has countless times before tonight. The workers finish their tasks and clean their tools and bank the fires. They walk home to their families tired but satisfied with the day's work completed. Tomorrow they will return and the work will begin again as it always does. The cycle continues without end as long as people value beauty and craftsmanship shown. Your spirit remains present in this eternal rhythm of work and rest repeated. And somewhere beyond time and space in realms we cannot see or know fully, perhaps you watch and smile at what you began so long ago, continuing still. Perhaps you rest content knowing your life mattered and your work endures here. The story ends, but the work never truly ends at all, ever really completely. It transforms and adapts and continues in new forms and new hands working always. This is the nature of craft and tradition carried forward through generations passing by. Your life was one thread woven into the great tapestry of human endeavour ongoing, but that single thread was vibrant and strong and true to its colour given. It remains visible and valuable even now after all this time has passed away. Good night.